Hello and welcome to WonderCon 2021. We are here for the Creators Assemble What's New, What's Next, and How to Navigate panel. Today, I am bringing to you a special group of creators and retailers that are actually going to be showing us a little bit of what's happening now and what's happening in the future. So my name is Joe Barrette. I am with creatorsassemble.org. We are a nonprofit group that actually helps aspiring creators to actually break into the comics industry. Today, I am actually joined by creator Henry Barajas, creator Emma Kubert, retail sales lead Morgan Perry, and retailer Mathias Lewis. How's everybody doing today?
Doing all right.
Yeah, doing good.
Good. Great. Fun. So, as we all know, 2020 was a rough year, and to say the least. And 2021 is, kicking off a little bit similar to last year. It ain't perfect yet. We still seem to be in our boxes at home, not really venturing into the world just yet. So just for giggles and just kind of a fun way to kick us off right here. We all kind of done strange things to adapt this past year. I want to know about your strangest adaptation. What have you done that is off the wall now that you are living and working at home 90-80% of the time? Who wants to go first? Emma, you got something?
Well, honestly, in that regard, it wasn't much of a change for me just because I'm an artist, writer who, has her little cave and never looks at the sunlight anyway. So in that regard, it wasn't really that different staying inside. I mean, I feel like I don't have much of a break, but, I think that's a lot of people here in general. But I would say the strangest adaptation?
Sure.
Adaptation? I'm not positive. Honestly, it would be exactly what we're doing here with Creators Assemble. I graduated from the Kubert School about 3 years ago, and I've been trying to break into the comic industry. And as soon as I would say around August 2019 was when Rusty and I got our big break. We got our contract for Inkblot to create it and to, it be published. And we finished the whole arc, and then a pandemic happened. So we literally had no idea when it was going to come out. We didn't know what our careers were doing because it literally just stopped still, like the whole industry. And that was really strange. But honestly, it was, a blessing in disguise because Image basically put off, the release of Inkblot to September, and it did pretty well. So, it was just something strange that I personally went through. But I guess it really does help because this is the first real big project that I have in my career. And I thought it was going to die with 2020.
Those things did, so yeah.
Exactly.
Henry, how about yourself?
I find myself in a particular situation like Emma, where my comic came out in November of 2019, debuted my Voz De M.A.Y.O, Tata Rambo, a graphic novel about my great-grandfather who was a Chicano activist, a political activist, a World War II veteran, and helped one of the last Native American tribes gain federal recognition. And that graphic novel was published in November, debuted at Thought Bubble out in Leeds, in Harrogate, actually, UK, and came back in January with 2 to 3 comic book conventions every month from January to December to tour the book and really talk about its significance in Latinx reading and Native American literature. And the pandemic hit, And while during 2019, I was also developing other ideas, and one of those ideas was Helm Greycastle, which is slated to come out through Image and Top Cow in April. Really excited about that. Co-created with Brian Valenza, working on it with Ramat Handoko, Gabrielle Downey, Claire Napier, and we have so many cool first issue covers by David Lapham, Becky Cloonan, Tony Parker. Just really excited about it, and was, had the opportunity to refine it last year. But, working for Top Cow Productions as a director of operations, having to kind of shift into more virtual panels like this, doing a couple of Kickstarters to get our books directly to customers, and also working with Image about when it was safe and when it was realistic for stores like Mathias's to start carrying Image comics again. And so yeah, it was a lot of learning and a lot of reskilling and a lot of patience, and I'm very grateful that we're still figuring it out, and hopefully going into this year stronger, and hopefully 2022 with doing more in-person events and seeing fans again.
Fantastic. Yeah. That kind of brings up the retail side of things. Morgan, what are you guys kind of looking at over at Boom?
So I guess like in terms of like the biggest adjustment, it was, LA shut down March 13th last year, and Boom Studios went into full work from home, and we're used to being in our office every day, commuting back and forth, going to shows, seeing retailers in person. I did a tour like 2 years ago for comic shops, and like that was all kind of like air sucked out of the room when suddenly we're at work from home, and now during these virtual events and having to figure that out. Like our live events team had all these cons planned for 2020, and they're suddenly having to figure out like how to video edit, how to record, how do we make trailers, how do we do this, and then on the sales side, Diamond shuts down for 8 weeks, which means we don't get our books to retailers, and retailers are stuck without product. So there was a bit of an adjustment there, especially training retailers on how to use alternate distribution methods like Simon & Schuster, Ingram. We worked with bookshop.org to try and get more eyes on comic shops so that people could get to them. I created a safe shopping network on Twitter, trying to just boost stores and get people to go into their stores, buy stuff, because retailers like Mathias were doing shops online, doing Facebook Live events, selling door to like going and delivering door to door when they needed to send the deliveries, and then also doing curbside pickup and safe services. Like it was a rough year for retail sales, but we're fighters, man. like retailers especially, they're fighters, and it's great.
This is the truth right there. Mathias, I know you've been doing your best to adapt, like over the top. I get notifications on Facebook every time you guys go live, which means I'm getting notifications all the time on my phone. But how have you guys been doing, hanging in there at Knowhere?
It is definitely it has definitely been an interesting year. I went from starting out 2020 thinking it was going to be amazing. We had amazing sales in January and February, to I thought I was going to lose this business and my house and everything when lockdown happened. It got really tight because we're a very traditional store. I didn't really have an online presence prior to this. I had a little bit of social media where now and then a picture would happen. But now we've pivoted heavily. We're doing Facebook Live. We are selling online through every source we can, from eBay and Amazon to our own website. We were doing deliveries. I was, during the start of it, I felt like an Uber driver. I was in my car driving comics to people's houses more often than I was in my store behind the register, which is different. But I mean, and so it's actually been a really great transition. I hate to try and speak positive about a pandemic, because there's a lot that can be said that a lot of people are going through and not recovering from. But we really walked away, I think, and we're still in it, but we're doing significantly better. And I think it's because we've had to learn and adapt. One of the big things is Facebook Live. I now have a community that doesn't just reach out to the driving distance of my store, but it is international. We do Facebook Live sales where I'm talking to people regularly as far out as Baltimore when I'm in San Diego. And we even have customers in France and Canada and Mexico. So it's a unique experience, but it's really wonderful. And I mean, and it's cool because of that. It shows the community of comics that as big as this world is, how small it can be, where with Emma's book Inkblot, before it was even solicited in the Diamond catalogs, I found out about it from somebody who watched our live stream. Henry pops into our live stream and comments, and it's great. I mean, I actually got to sell one of his books because he was in the live streaming commenting, and I was able to show one of the books on camera. It was great. Working with people like Morgan, now that we have this wider range, I'm able to do store exclusive variants. So I mean, it was a fearful time going into 2020, but we have reached such an interesting level that there are a lot of positive things that I can walk away from this pandemic with.
That's actually really interesting. So that kind of brings to my mind, I guess there's always kind of been this idea of, some people when they go to conventions, they don't really know creators per se. They read their books, but they've never actually met in person. And so do you think like we've kind of broken a little bit of a wall down during this pandemic of people are better able to kind of interact with the creators that they enjoy, that their material, they can actually kind of connect a little bit closer to people by having chats like this, by speaking online via social media, actually connecting a little bit more so? Or do you think we've kind of really set ourselves back because we didn't actually have in-person conventions? We haven't had a chance to really go into the shops per se. Where do you guys feel about that?
I personally think it's a mixture of both. In many ways, I'm seeing a lot of creators responding more directly than they ever have before via social media like Twitter. And I get to see customers come in super excited when, a creator just likes something they said or retweets it. So in that way, it's really great. But I think there is something missed. Like I haven't been able to have a proper in-store signing in the past year. And, there is something personal I've noticed of where when there's an in-store signing and you get to meet that creator, you suddenly hold a love for them that you're going to follow them onto every book. And it's not the same necessarily, but I'd say it still has some very positive effects.
Yeah, I mean, I think comics has a interesting connection with its readers that a lot of media doesn't have. You can't buy a movie directly from someone like Robert De Niro or go to a convention and meet your favorite movie stars or recording artists. So I think there has been always been a very open door policy when it comes to getting a hold of your favorite comic book artists and writers. But yeah, I guess the 2020 pandemic has shifted that a little and has made that more of a virtual experience, and that allows more people to participate. Some people couldn't get to San Diego Comic-Con because all the tickets are sold out. Some people can't go to New York Comic-Con when they have bills to pay and families to feed. So I'm hoping that we're all in this together in a lot of respects, and we're all, dealing with this pandemic, and not a single soul has been not affected by this in one way or another in comic book industry. I think, and its creators and its readers and its retailers and librarians and bookstore owners, we're all kind of sharing something pretty unique, and hopefully still being able to share more stories and continue this forever long tradition.
Something that I know that our team at Boom has been doing since the pandemic is Boom chats. So we've actually been able to bring our creators together under one kind of virtual chat and be able to share those experiences with fans so that fans can actually see the videos, share the videos, and then feel like they have that personal connection with the creators outside of the convention experience, because that's kind of all we've got right now. But it's great because, at conventions, there was a lot of coordination involved of maybe this creator can't make it over from the UK to San Diego Comic-Con to be able to meet for the first time. So you get to have these nice organic chats between creators who are international, who don't necessarily get to see each other or even interact with each other on a daily basis outside of emails. So I think that's been really special and something positive that's come out of the pandemic. from the publisher side with creators to try and engage more with their fans. That's been a huge part of our focus, has been how do we engage the fans outside of these live events and, you know, make them feel like things are a sense of normalcy, even though we all know nothing's normal right now. But we just want to try and create that experience at home.
True.
I mean, honestly, you three said it all. I don't really have anything to add. I mean, I know just as a creator, I love connecting with fans. I love comic conventions. I've been going to them since I was like 8 years old. And I always thought there was something about meeting a creator in person. As you said, that was very, you'll always remember that. So that's the kind of like personal connection that I'm missing. But I do think it's a great thing to go on social media and include, you know, everyone in what you're doing. I mean, I try to promote my own social media as well. And I just kind of like people seeing what I'm doing and what I'm up to and trying to make the best of that personal connection. But yeah.
Yeah. So do you guys think this is kind of a more permanent big change, so to speak, or do you think we're going to go back to normalcy the way that it was before? Or do you think we are going to continue kind of having these video chats, so to speak, because we've found a connection that way?
I probably think it's going to be both going forward. You know, like I think we're going to try, I mean, just, you know, as a human race in general, we're just going to try to personally connect with people. We're social creatures. How can we not? But I think getting back to normalcy is, I don't think that's a thing anymore. I think this is the new normal. And I think to incorporate, you know, these kinds of chats over, you know, the computer while meeting people in person, just do it from all sides, you know, meet people from all sides, from afar and up close. And I think that's the way it's probably going to go.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it's going to be back to normal as we once knew it. Like, it's going to be very different. I know that that's been a huge topic of discussion at a lot of the retailer conferences, even at like Read Pop last year and Comics Pro this year. There was a lot of discussion of like, how do we do this in person again, like when we're actually able to, like, will there be masking protocols? Will there be hand sanitizing stations? Will there be like additional allowances for cleaning services and stuff like that that happen at the convention floor? Is there going to be social distancing at these events? Like, everyone, I think there's going to be a level of anxiety that everyone has now that will never go away. So virtual events may become a big part of what we do, and streaming might become a big part of what we do. I know that they were doing it before at the shows, but it might be, you know, 50, 60, 70% of the show now, and only a small part of it will be, you know, at the event. And there may be limitations on how many people can attend the events. Like Comic-Con may not be as big as it was before.
I certainly think that it is going to be a combination of both. I'd like to be hopeful. Like, I mean, pandemics have hit the world in the past, and it could be an alien view of not knowing. But I'd like to think eventually we'll get back to where we're not wearing masks and we don't have to social distance. We can hug our friends and attend big conventions, but it's going to probably be a while. The thing that I'm expecting is that we are going to learn from this. Just like I had mentioned with my store, there is an education and change of things. And I mean, even when we go back to being fully normal, we'll probably continue using social media, online sales, and the like more. And as such, I cannot wait to have an in-person signing in my store again, where I can have a creator out here. But in the same, I think I'm going to try and take advantage of the opportunity of, I'm already working with a few creators where we're going to mail them books, and we're going to have them via Skype or other, you know, item devices like Zoom in store on our televisions. And, you know, basically also feeding to our fans via social media like Facebook, so people don't have to be present for it. And I think that a combination like that is, as humans, we are good at adapting. And I hope that we will continue to adapt and improve. So I don't think things will return to the old ways, but I think we will find this new normal, and the new normal will be better.
Nice. Well, you know, I guess, you know, the world has really kind of changed. And so it is a little bit of a little bit scary so to speak, in certain ways. It is also pretty invigorating that you kind of get to approach it with a new set of eyes. Um, so let's give some people some hope. Let's shine a light on to what the future brings. Henry, what are you currently working on? What is coming down the pipe that everybody's going to be excited, thrilled to see from you?
Yeah, like I mentioned before, Helm Greycastle is, I'm really excited about that series. I got it. Some really amazing friends of mine that like turned into family got me into D&D. While I was creating my character, I realized, oh, this is what Jim Zub does and Karen Gillan does, and kind of looking at the D&D culture and experience, it's very, excuse my French, white, and I wanted to find a way to incorporate the type of history that D&D does, and learning about Mesoamerican history, realizing the Aztecs and Mayans and all the other cities and satellite cities believed in magic. They had wizards and shamans, and they created the calendar. We really look at these people mostly as savages that murdered and ate hearts, and there was a lot of science and philosophy and organized classrooms. It was a thriving society before the Spanish conquistadors came in and ruined everything. So the idea is, what if the Spanish conquistadors lost the conquest of Mexico, and what if Mordor had a south side, and what if there was these brown people in this Euro fantasy world, and they had to work together to stop a common evil. So Helm Greycastle is definitely like a dog treat with medicine inside of it, where you think you're getting like a fantasy game thing, but you're really getting a lot of Mesoamerican history. And I'm trying my best, but the first 2 issues will have one-shot role-playing games for players to use. And my idea is also to have the inside front cover or back cover a map, so you have to deface the comic so you can place your miniatures on it. Because back in my day, we used to put our bubble gum and our baseball cards in our back pocket with our funnies when we'd go to old Dr. Pepper's shop, and when they had to shoot last year or whatever. I don't know. But I mean, what I want to do is bring defacing comics back, and Helm Greycastle is continuing that tradition of making D&D fantasy more inclusive, and tearing apart your comics, just to spite the CGC people and the major collectors, really.
All right, that just sold me on another one. I know I donated heavily to your Kickstarter on that.
Thank you. I appreciate the support. Yeah, Kickstarter was a big factor of showing that this is a viable thing. People are interested, very excited that Top Cow and Image is putting it out there for me on a global retailer initiative. So I know the first issue is risk-free. So if you don't like it, you can tear off the first 2 inches of the cover, right? Isn't that how that works?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love it. No, trust me. Once I heard that you were doing a D&D based comic, I threw all my money at it.
Well, I appreciate it. I know you have children and a mortgage, and I hope you withdrew money responsibly.
Well,
and a wife
that
loves you.
Yeah, exactly. Don't tell her. But Emma, how about you? What do you got going?
Well, I am the co-creator of the epic fantasy ongoing series Inkblot. We just finished our first arc, so the trade is coming out in April, and it has a wraparound cover, and I really like it because it's super silly. And but yeah, if you guys are interested in Inkblot, it's about a magical cat that can do anything, go anywhere, And it's basically about how it unravels the history behind our protagonist, the Seeker, and all of the magical worlds and creatures that inhabit it, all of the different realms. Basically, it's just a really, really fun, high fantasy. And I think the main thing that I love about, this idea in general is how I tried to make it like the storytelling aspect of it so that anyone can jump in at any time. So it's basically like each issue, it's just kind of like a monster of the week. You're meeting a new creature, you're meeting new protagonists, you're following this really, really cute magical cat, and it's so lovable and exciting. But then when you read everything together, you'll see something unravel that's bigger than just a single issue. And yeah, that's it. There's Inkblot.
No, Inkblot is one of my new favorites. I seriously can't put it down. It's so good, and it's just got the right mix of fantasy and mischievousness that I'm just all about.
That sounds like how people describe me, just fantasy and mystery, mischievousness. Yeah, that's what you said. But no, honestly, this is an idea that's been like years in the making. I started this while I was at the Kubert School, and it just kind of spiraled from there. And then my partner, Rusty, joined me in developing it. And it's really just something that I'm super excited to work on every single day. So I really, really am happy that you guys are excited to read it. Like I love it. I love it.
Morgan, what do you see coming? What are you excited about? I know there's so many things on Boom's side that are coming out the pipe soon.
Oh yeah. So the big one that I'm super excited for, and Mathias already knows because he's seen me like scream about this all the time, is Magic. We have the license for Magic the Gathering. So we will be launching Magic #1 in April. And it's yes. And it's going to be written by Jed McKay with art by Iguara, and these two guys are amazingly super fans of Magic, and it makes me as a super fan of Magic really excited to see all the little tidbits that they're throwing in from the card game, as well as bringing in all of this new canon and lore and stuff like that for the series. It's going to be a lot of fun, especially for fans of Ravnica and Zendikar. Like, it's going to take us in a different direction than what they may have been used to from the War of the Spark novels or anything that's going on in the card lore right now, as well as anything that might be in development over at Netflix with the TV series that they announced like 2 years ago. Like, it's very, very exciting to have the Magic the Gathering license and to be able to bring that to the fans. But on the originals front, we just announced Eve from Victor Laval. Victor is an amazingly talented, award-winning novelist for horror and supernatural thrillers, and he worked with us a couple years ago on Destroyer, and he's going to be doing Eve in May with Mi Zhongzhou as the artist. And what Victor's really, really good at is, and something that he often explores in his work is, in Destroyer, he used horror and fantasy and like the legend of Frankenstein to explore police brutality in the Black community and how that is disproportionately affecting them. And always a modern, he always brings in different modern things. But with Eve, he's exploring how the climate change is disproportionately affecting people of color and the Black community, as well as Eve, our main protagonist, awakens from a virtual reality and has to travel across the country in this like post-apocalyptic landscape of, flooded New York to try and save the world. And so I'm really, really excited for that because Destroyer was amazing. Victor Laval is so talented. Mi Zhongzhou's artwork is incredible. Those are the two to watch out for. Awesome.
I'm putting them down on my list right now. Mathias, be the voice of the people. What are the people looking forward to? What do you hear is excitement?
I mean, we're in a weird state with comics right now, because as much as I think editorially we're seeing some of the best stories in ages, and the thing that I'm loving is, while DC and Marvel are still both doing really good, we're seeing a significant rise in independent publishing. I mean, literally I can, show off Henry's amazing, original graphic novel to, the really, really cool comic that Emma's doing. Morgan's attached to so many amazing Boom projects, from Magic the Gathering to Keanu Reeves' Berserker. Like, there's a lot of great things going on there, but we're also in a really unique place for the collectability of comics, which is a different realm in itself, where we're seeing the values, the aftermarket values of books just skyrocketing. We're seeing people grading books and collecting old books because they're going up in values. And it's almost like a stock market that's just on the rise. So it's very unique seeing this, because, well, I will always be the guy who likes to open up a book and read it. I'm more of Henry's, like, let me deface this because I enjoy it so much. There is definitely a very different market in collectability of rare variants and, the hottest of books, the first appearances. We're seeing a very intense rise in speculation and investment websites and apps. So it's an interesting time, to say the least, to be in the comics world, because there's a million facets. There's the traditional superhero stuff. There's the new, there's independent creations. There's things that are just pushing boundaries and bringing sequential art into completely new realms. And then there's the millions of different ways you can collect it. So it's an interesting time. Like, I mean, I'm very hopeful to see where this goes, because this isn't the old days of like the Simpsons, comic shop guy, before, where it was a bunch of old, guys, collecting the, men in tights from the 1930s just being reprinted for 5 million times. It's a whole new world. And I honestly am at a point where I can't predict what's happening next. And I love that, because I'm seeing people of all ages, of all genders, of all ethnicities. Everyone is coming through my doors. This isn't the time period when I was a kid and people would yell nerd and geek at me. This is a time where, when you hear that, it's more of a prideful statement. People are paying billions of dollars, to go see these movies and watch these TV shows. So it's an interesting time, and I'm full of hope on it. It is really cool seeing where this is all going.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's a brand new world out there, so to speak, in so many different ways right now. So, well, you guys brought up a lot of fantasy works that are coming up, so I would be remiss to just mention that creatorsassemble.org is going to actually be having a D&D charity game day, May 15th. So please be on the lookout for that. Henry has already kindly agreed to be part, so
yes.
We're going to put him through the ringer on that one. Make sure.
If my character dies, I will hang up.
Yep, there you go. Very quickly, very angrily.
No, I'm excited. Very excited. Yeah.
Love it.
Thank you.
Of course. So, Creators Assemble, we like to spotlight unknown creators, new up and coming people that haven't had a chance to really get the spotlight on themselves yet. Trying to make it in the world. So honestly, I want to hear from you guys. Who is a voice, who's a creator that nobody knows about, or doesn't have much of a following right now, that you would love to hype because you
There's this new book about this guy named Stan Lee. I don't know. That I'm really excited to read. I don't think enough people know about him and his life and the things he's done. So
it's a fresh face to me. I don't know.
Yeah.
Who you got? Anybody?
So, I mean, there's obviously every one of us can, I'm sure, give it a huge list. One that I am always a fan of is the artist Death Fema Stone, who I've worked with a lot. He's done a lot of amazing covers. He's doing some work with IDW. He's done work with Valiant and the like, but he is a brilliant artist. And whenever I watch his social media posts, I just get super excited the more I see from him, because I remember when this guy was just starting out about 5 or 6 years ago. And now it's like everything he draws just seems like it's going to be a challenge against like Jim Lee and J. Scott Campbell and all these other big boys out there. But then one that I'm really loving, and I'm sure she's already on the rise well enough because every publisher is trying to work with her, but Stephanie Phillips, every time I see a book from her, I'm just absolutely shocked at how amazing it is. She is one of those, well, people are placing people like Donny Cates and Stephen King and all, everyone has their like creator that they're like, anything they write, I'm going to pick up. right now, Stephanie Phillips, who I only believe has been writing for a few years now, just everything she puts out, I'm absolutely obsessed with. And I could not express that everyone should be going out and grabbing Stephanie Phillips comics.
Yeah, she has a comic out through Top Cow called A Man Among Ye. So that's a good
Amazing
one to
pirate
start
ship.
if you're gonna listen to Matthias, which
We
I
all
always
listen to
do.
Mathias.
Yeah.
Morgan, who you got?
Oh yeah. So I'm super excited for Mark Bouchard and Bill Underwood's It Took Luke. That was a book that went through Kickstarter and was fully funded, and it is totally my jam because it's super bloody and supernatural. And what really drew me to the project was Bill's line work. I'm really excited for that. But also Bones Leopard is a writer whom I don't think gets enough love. They broke through a couple years ago with Pandora's Legacy at Boom Studios, and they are just an amazing writer and creator, and I'm so excited to see what is coming from them. And then also, like, I've been seeing a lot more work from Shadia Amin on the Agretzko series over at Oni, as well as a few other pieces of work. I'm really excited for her. And then also Jordan Alsaka and Ray Nadine are two creators that I really enjoy seeing. Their book Raise Hell from Kickstarter was one of my favorite things I got during the quarantine. So look out for that team. They're brilliant.
Nice. Emma, do you have any recommendations?
Well, not so much. I mean, like, I haven't been reading as much lately, but I have been looking on more of like webtoons and tapas and online web comics. And I just want to plug this in. If you're looking for unknown creators, you can look at the Kubert School, especially with recent graduates who are trying to make it like a career for themselves and a name for themselves. One of the teachers there, her name is Sean Mandrake, and she's the daughter of Jan Duursma and Tom Mandrake. He worked on Batman, she worked on Star Wars for a very long time. And Sean Mandrake, she is an artist herself, a colorist, and she has this online web comic called Blood of the Taken that I've been reading. It's about vampires, and I really, really love it. I love her art style. I'm a big like Tim Burton kind of fan, so anything that I see that's like even remotely like fun, creepy is my jam. So I definitely recommend that. But as I said before, if you're looking for unknown creators, check out the Kubert School and the alumni that come from them, just because there are so many creators that come out of it that aren't just doing, you know, comics in the mainstream, but indie comics, webtoons, etc., like that. So yeah.
So there's one I'd also be remiss to not bring up, and I don't know why that didn't just pop out of my mind initially.
Is it NFL Super Pro?
I wish, yeah. Now, there is an amazing creator local to Southern California by the name of KJ Kaminsky, who has his own publishing company called Big Blue Comics, and they do amazing all ages stories with characters of all genders and ethnicities. I love it. It's like he has created a universe that's kind of G.I. Joe meets the X-Men. It's amazing. I love his stuff. And he's actually about to be doing a new project at Scout that will hopefully be coming out a bit after WonderCon. But KJ Kaminsky, absolutely brilliant writer. He's great because I just love the fact that he kind of is all encompassing in his character creations and worlds, but he also is all encompassing in the readership, in that he's not writing down to children. He's not writing to a specific audience, but anyone can pick up and enjoy his books. So I always love, KJ Kaminsky stuff.
Awesome. Fantastic.
Yeah, I guess I'll be serious. I'm sorry for joking around all the time and not taking this seriously, but there's there's I bet so like if you're looking for comics and you really can't afford to buy as many, go to your local library. You can get it curbside pickup. I got this Kent State, 4 Dead in Ohio. Been tearing through this amazing graphic novel on all the top 10 for 2020. Gabrielle Bell's inappropriate memoir comic and skewers into fictional, like memoir-y, like storytelling, very funny, absurd and crude humor, which I'm a big fan of. If you like webtoon, I found this comic called Blades of Gay. It's a furry comic about not roller skating, figure skating. Pretty hilarious. Just cliffhangers at the end of every comic. And I met a lot of comics creators at SPX, Small Press Expo, and next to me was Chloe Giroux, who's become a friend of mine. Chloe's on Instagram, always posting a lot of amazing comics. So that's another kind of artist that's just months or years away of breaking it big.
Nice. Fantastic.
Oh, and also shout out to Jose Mesa. Miss you.
So, kind of coming into it, I guess, what do you guys hope to see this year? For the rest of the year, what would make this year a good year for you, so to speak? What projects coming out? What community goals do you think we can kind of achieve together? What would you like to see and just kind of be, refreshing and kind of give everybody a little bit of clarity and hope for the future?
So I'm going to say this, speaking as somebody who works from a Western publishing, American publishing company, I am so excited for whatever bubble is going to burst in the manga scene right now, because we have just seen that rise and rise and rise. Like My Hero Academia sales have been incredibly amazing. Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba, with the release of the movie in Japan, has just like exponentially grown in the US market. More retailers are starting to carry manga in their store. It's not this thing anymore when you go into a shop and you maybe see like these mishmash volumes of manga on the shelf that are just kind of there because somebody donated them. Like retailers are actually trying to curate their collections and to cater to that fan. And what I want to see is for those manga fans that are used to going to Barnes & Noble, used to buying their books from Amazon, is to go to their local shop and be able to get that from their local shop and be able to pre-order and start training them on the pre-order process. And, having comic shops be the purveyors of manga and have that community start growing in those stores, because like there's so much coming out. There's Chainsaw Man, there is Kaiju number 8 just got announced from Viz as an English collected edition. I'm so excited for that book. I've been reading it on the Shonen Jump app, which everybody, if you love manga and you love Shonen Jump, get the Shonen Jump app. It's like $2.99 a month and you get the full vault of everything Viz is publishing through Shonen Jump. It's amazing. Same day as it releases in Japan. It's great. And then everything from Kodansha, from Witch Hat Atelier to Attack on Titan, that's about to end soon, but like it's so good. And I'm so excited. I love manga. I'm sorry, I had to.
As a retailer, I want to see everything Morgan just said too. Actually, on that note, one of the things I would really like to see, and I mean this very politely, I want to see more moments where Marvel and DC get dethroned by smaller publishing companies. I don't mean that in any negative way towards Marvel or DC, because I love Marvel and DC. I mean, at my core, I'm still a fan of everybody from Namor to Aquaman, but the reality is I love when we see like the massive numbers Boom just saw for Berserker, the new series by Matt Kent. I love when I hear the graphic novel sales on Sunstone over at Top Cow, and I want to see more instances of comics being more than just the traditional superheroes that are these multi-billion-dollar licenses. Because while I love Batman and Spider-Man to death, I cannot wait for a generation to rise up where they know more characters like Witchblade or the characters from My Little Pony or a little black magical cat made of ink coming out from Image. Like there's so much amazing stuff on the market, on the shelves of not only my shop, but hopefully your local comic shop, wherever that is, if you're watching, that needs to be read and taken home and enjoyed and shared with everyone. So I want to see more of the moments where the little guy really wins.
Awesome. Emma, how about you?
That was such a good answer. How am I supposed to follow that?
I'll give a bad answer, and then you can follow me if you want.
No, no, no,
Well,
no.
let me wipe everything off my hand that I'd pre-written.
No, I mean, like, I agree with literally everything you said. I mean, I want to see more of a rise in creator-owned stories. And I mean, me personally, I just found that when I was younger, I actually didn't really relate that much to superheroes and DC and Marvel because I didn't see anyone that really was like looked or acted like me. So I think to add to like the creator own, I feel like we should be making a bit more of all ages stories and younger reader stories so that we're bringing in that new generation that we're targeting these stories at. I think it's important to have something for everyone and to have all different points of views, all different perspectives from creators to customers in all aspects. So yes, I agree, and more all ages.
Henry, what's up?
Yeah, I mean, Emma took my answer. I want more people who, no, I'm kidding. So with Helm Greycastle, number 2 is in the new solicits, and we have Dale DeForest, who is a Navajo comic book artist, who I'm going to be willing to bet, $20 that he will be the only Native American cover artist shipping that week. So I'd like to see more Black, Brown, Indigenous, people of color on the racks, and I'm doing my best to introduce that, especially non-binary creators. Last year was a sad year because we didn't have Free Comic Book Day. So I'd love, what would make my year is if we had Free Comic Book Day, which is always comic book stores' biggest and best sales date. But I'm more concerned with our health and making sure that that day will come when it's not deadly to everyone. So
Absolutely.
that's what I hope. Joe, what about you?
Oh, me? I like hearing new voices. I like seeing new creators to the space. I always enjoy great stories, but seeing stories come from voices that I've never heard from before, and finding those voices and seeing new art come from people that I had no idea I just stumbled upon one day. That's actually one of my favorite things to do right now, is actually just go on to Twitter or Instagram and fall down a hashtag rabbit hole and just get littered with so much art. And I found some of my new favorite artists just because of that. I can't emphasize enough how enjoying that process is just finding new talent out there. And especially when you click on their profile and you find out they have 50 followers, and you're like, oh, you should be seen by so many more people. And that's my hope this year, is that I can maybe help one of those guys that has 50 followers and maybe just bump them up to 300 or bump them up to 500, because all of a sudden they're able to actually get eyes on them and get a little bit of recognition that they deserve, and maybe find that foothold to get a job into the professional world. That would be the dream for the year. And so yeah, unheard voices, new people. I want to see new people all the time. So that's what excites me about this year. And trust me, with all the free time everybody's had this past year, I imagine people have kind of honed their craft a little bit. So I think we're probably going to get a real talent boom coming out of this too. And that really excites me. So I guess as we're kind of wrapping it up here, and we're kind of seeing the end of it because time is short, and I want to make sure that WonderCon does not get upset at me. Honestly, everybody just go around real quick. Give me your socials and any last words that you'd like to share.
Okay, I'll go first.
Go for it.
I am Emma Kubert on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. I honestly, that's it. That's where I post all of my social media, and you can see what I'm up to every day.
Love it. Morgan.
I'm most active on Twitter. You can follow me at Goda. That's GEAUXTA. I mostly just talk about anime and manga and retweet cool artists.
Really?
Yeah, no,
You
really,
do?
yeah, that's all I do, Henry. I don't know. Maybe you see something different, but that's all I like to yell about on Twitter.
I vaguely remember you talking about some cool comic shops across the country.
I do. I do talk
Yeah.
about comic shops, and I do
You
boost
made the
them.
news.
I did, and that was a little
You
weird.
were viral. It's funny. I knew Morgan when she was working at a comic shop, and now
That's how Henry and I met. It's awesome. But yeah, if you want to hear that, that's on Twitter.
Nice. Matthias.
So I'm so glad Emma went first and I didn't say out my social security number, but social wise, you can find my shop Knowhere Games and Comics on Facebook at Knowhere Games and Comics, as well as we're on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Tumblr, everything as Knowhere, which is KNOWHEREGC for games and comics. And then if you really want to try and track down my social media, it's attached to all of that, but it's a lot more boring. It's just photos of my kids and all the comics I collect.
Yes,
Two most important things in
That
life.
sounds exciting.
oh, it is. It's really sweet. And I'm
Henry.
not a coward like Matthias. I will give you my social security number. It's if anyone wants to be me, please. I don't want to be me. So take my identity.
I'll drop in a bleep on that one.
Thank you. I'm Henry Barajas. You can find me at Henry Barajas on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter, or you can find me on Knowhere Games on their live streams asking for NFL Super Pros, which I still haven't received. And
Got it right behind the counter for you.
And I also work with Top Cow Productions, so follow Top Cow. We have a Top Cow newsletter. I update the website, the Facebook, and everything. And you'll find me riding my bicycle all over Los Angeles. Just don't hit me.
Fantastic. All right. And I am Joe Barrette. You can find me at creatorsassemble.org. You can visit our website. We have a newsletter you can sign up for. You can also find out how to join into our Spotlights, Limelight, artist galleries. And you can jump onto all our socials from there. Wrapping it up, I'd just like to thank all of you so much for this wonderful conversation. This has been nothing but a blast for myself. And thank you again.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you to WonderCon and Laura Jones. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Absolute pleasure.